Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to this meeting of the Licensing and Gambling Subcommittee, which is being held on Thursday, the 19th of August, 2021. The meeting is being held remotely via Microsoft Teams due to the restrictions of the COVID-19. My name is Councillor Julian Simmons, and I will be chairing this meeting today. Apologies for the delay in the start of the meeting. We just had a few technical issues we had to iron out first. This meeting is being recorded and will be made available to the Council's website, except for discussions involving confidential or exempt items. Therefore, the images, including audio, of those individuals present or speaking will be publicly available to all via the recording on the Council's website at www.caerphilly.gov.uk. I will now carry out a roll call of attendance. Could you just please announce yourselves as present when I call out your name? Members first, please. Councillor June Gale. I can see you, June, but I can't hear you.
As present.
Thank you, June. And Councillor John Roberts, please.
Chair, present.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. That's brilliant. Can I just check that the following officers are present too as well? That's Lee Morgan from our licensing manager.
Yeah, present, Chair. Good morning.
Morning, Lee. Rhys Firmage, our licensing officer.
Present, Chair.
Thanks, Rhys. Mike Walbank, our senior solicitor.
Yes, Chair.
Thank you, Mike. That's lovely. And Rebecca Barrett from Committee Services.
Morning, present, Chair.
Thank you, Rebecca. That's great. Can I also check that our applicants are present, please? Please bear with me with the pronunciation of your surname, so I hope I've got it right. It's Dainik Kumburugam-Away and Diane Kumburugam-Away. Is that right how you pronounce?
Nearly.
Nearly. Oh, okay. Please excuse me. I'm sorry.
Okay.
And thank you.
Present.
And thank you very much indeed, both. And we've also got Mrs. Meda Wedekula. Is that correct? That's lovely.
That's right. That's perfect.
That's great. Thank you ever so much indeed on that. That's a great help. Thank you, all of you. I also have a list of responsible authorities and local residents speaking at the meeting. Please could you announce yourselves when I call out your name, please? I've got Alex Baker from Trading Standards.
Present.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Alex. I've got Abby Brown from Environmental Health.
Present.
Thank you, Abby. That's brilliant. Attending officer from the Gwent Police is Inspector Andrew Keefe.
Present, Chair. Good morning.
Thank you, Andrew. And Annette Dix from our Licensing Authority.
Good morning, present, Chair.
Thank you, Annette. Good morning to you. And finally, we've got a couple of local residents here. I've got Lynn Bevan.
Present.
Thank you, Lynn. And Mr. Christian Williams. Is that right?
Yeah, present.
That's lovely. Thank you very much indeed. Can I also welcome the supporting officers from the Licensing Committee who are also in the background. Thank you for confirming your attendance. Please may I remind attendees that if they lose connection during the meeting, please to make every attempt to reconnect. Committee services are on hand and will be able to assist you in any reconnection issues if necessary. Please can I just ask everyone to have their microphones on mute until they are invited to speak. Should I also remind everyone that the chair has the discretion to remove persons from the meeting if that is necessary. If you wish to speak, please use the hands up function on the Microsoft Teams bar at the top of your screen. We will now move on to the agenda. First of all, are there any apologies for absence, please?
Yes, Chair. If I could offer apologies. One of the local resident objectors has indicated she's unable to attend due to work commitment this morning. Her comments are reproduced in the bundle as she's referred to as Resident A, and I can clarify that in the proceedings as well.
That's lovely. Thank you, Lee. That's brilliant. Thank you. Are there any other apologies, please? Okay, I can't see any, so we're moving swiftly on to the declarations of interest. Councillors and officers are reminded of their personal and responsibility to declare any personal or prejudicial interests in respect to any item of business on this agenda. in accordance to the Local Government Act 2000, the Council's Constitution and the Code of Conduct for both councillors and officers. Are there any interest at all, please? I can't see any hands up, so that's great. That's brilliant. We can move swiftly on then. Moving on to item 3. This is the determination of the presence of the licence application of Chef Ceylon at 10 Bridge Street, Blackwood, NP 121AX. Mr. Wallbank from Legal, can I hand over to you, please? Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Just for the benefit of everyone here who perhaps might not have been to one of these meetings before, I'll just run through the procedure that we're going to follow this morning. We will firstly hear from the licensing officer, who will present his report, and then everybody else will have the opportunity to ask questions of the licensing officer, starting with the panel. We'll then hear from the applicants. They will be invited to address the subcommittee to make their comments in support of their application. And then again, everybody else, so the panel, the responsible authorities and the local residents will have the opportunity to ask questions of the applicants. We'll then move on to the responsible authorities, and we will ask each of those to address the panel in turn with any comments that they want to make. And I understand the responsible authorities that we've got here today are Trading Standards, Environmental Health, Gwent Police, and the Council's Licensing Department. And in respect of each of those, the panel and the other people present here this morning will have the opportunity to ask questions of those responsible authorities. We will then hear from the local residents who are in the meeting this morning, and once again, each resident will be invited to make any comments to the panel that they want to make, and other persons will have the opportunity to ask them questions. So that gives everybody the chance to say what they want to say, and everybody else to ask questions. After that, everybody will have the opportunity to sum up. Summing up is basically an opportunity to draw together the points that you want the panel to take away and consider. It's not an opportunity to add new evidence or to make new points. And given the number of people that we've got in this meeting this morning, I think we would be grateful if you could make your comments as concise as possible with regard to summing up. As the Chair has already pointed out, we are conducting this hearing virtually this morning through Microsoft Teams. These hearings generally work fairly well, but clearly there can be technical issues. If you do not hear something that's said, then please ask the person who's saying it to repeat what they've said. And please don't be worried about doing that. It is important that people hear what is being said in this meeting. If you lose connection for any reason, we'll pause the proceedings so that people don't miss out on what is being said. Please do everything. If you do drop out of the meeting for any reason, please do try to reconnect. If you drop out and you have difficulty reconnecting, I'm going to read out a telephone number now that you can call for assistance with reconnecting. And that number is 01443 864 245. And I'll repeat that again in a few moments if anybody didn't have a pen to hand. Just moving swiftly on, once the summing up's taken place, then the Chair will ask all of the parties to leave the meeting, and that's done by pressing the red hang up button on your Teams screen. The panel will go away and consider its decision, and then the decision will be circulated by the licensing department within 5 working days of this meeting. So there won't be a decision straight away after the hearing, but a written decision will be circulated shortly afterwards. I'll just read out that number again for if anyone has any technical difficulties. It's 01443 864 245. Are there any questions on that and the procedure that we're going to be following this morning? No, brilliant. Back to the Chair then, thank you.
Thank you, Legal. That's great. Can I hand over to now Mr. Lee Morgan from our licensing authority, please? Lee, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Well, good morning, members, and can I welcome all parties to this subcommittee meeting to consider the application of a grant of a premises licence made by Chef Ceylon Limited. Members, the application for your consideration is then a premises licence under the Licensing Act 2003 for Chef Ceylon at 10 Bridge Street, Blackwood, NP12 1AX. And as I said, this is made by the limited company Chef Ceylon Limited. The application seeks to permit licensable activity as detailed at paragraph 1.3 of the report. And members, you will note that the applicant has amended its proposed licensable activity timings for the on sale of alcohol to reflect Monday to Wednesday 12 till 2200. Thursday to Saturday, 11 to 23:30, and Sunday, 12 to 20:30 hours. Members, to assist you, a plan of the licensed premises is detailed at Appendix 1, which is on page 9 of your bundle. A location plan, for those who perhaps are not quite so familiar with Blackwood Town, is contained at Appendix 2 at page 11. To provide members some context, I suppose, of as the premises itself and the look of the building, there are some photographs of the premises, and then looking out from the premises at the proposed outdoor area into the street area, and they're contained between pages 13 to 16 of the report bundle for you. The applicant has described the nature of the proposed premises is that of a restaurant which serves food and drinks and takeaway food. The application has been subject to the statutory 28-day consultation process, and in that time it has drawn representations from responsible authorities, namely Building Standards, Environmental Health Pollution Team, Gwent Police, and also the licensing authority in its role as a responsible authority. All of these responsible authorities have sought conditions as opposed to making an outright objection to the application. The comments of the responsible authorities, they are contained within pages 29 through to 40 of your bundle, and you will have the opportunity to hear from each of those with their submissions after you've heard from the applicant this morning. There were also a number of resident representations during the 28-day consultation process, at the conclusion of which then there remained 3 resident objections to the application. These are contained within pages 41 through to page 47 of the report, and you will hear from 2 of the residents who are present shortly. I would just like to add that we have had confirmation from the resident who is referred to as Resident A, whose comments are contained at pages 41, to offer apologies for the inability to attend today due to work commitments. But I would just draw members' attention to those representations, and they are obviously opposing this application that you're considering today. Members, the applicant has, during the consultation process, has responded to the concerns of the responsible authorities and of residents, and has submitted a response which is contained at Appendix 12, and you'll find that between pages 49 to 50. A summary of all the comments that have been received from either responsible authorities or indeed local residents are contained at paragraph 1.6 of the report, and they start at page 4. The licensing assessment details the information which members must have regard to this morning. So at paragraph 1.8, members, you are required to consider the Licensing Act, the statutory section 182 guidance, the council's own licensing policy, and all the representations and evidence presented before you at today's meeting. As with all reports of this type, there is an officer recommendation set out at paragraph 1.10, I would just add that this is just a recommendation, and members, you will be required to make to consider all the information you hear this morning and then to make that determination. Chair, what I'll do at this point is hand back to you in order that you may invite any questions for myself in relation to the report. If there are none, then I would invite you then to invite the applicant to make their application to you this morning. Chair, I'll pass back to you. Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you for that, Mr. Morgan. Are there any questions from licensing at all, please? I have one hand up. That's Councillor John Roberts. Councillor John.
Thank you, Chair. Diolch. Can I just ask a question? Just the one, listening to Lee there. We're told that, where are we? We're told about the number of resident representations objecting, and then we've got the line, there are 3 remaining residents that have made an objection. How many were there originally, please, Lee?
There were 6 representations from local residents initially. There was a member representation, but 3 resident reps were withdrawn, as was the member representation. Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Councillor John. Are there any other questions at all for our licensing, please? No. Okay, so I shall move swiftly on then, and I will now move the representations from our applicants, Mr. and Mrs. Kambura Gamaway, and also Mrs. Meda Wadihukula, to give their representations, please. Over to you, folks. Thank you.
Hello.
Hello, do you want to talk?
Yeah.
Hello, we can hear you. Thank you.
Okay. We are proposing to provide a Sri Lankan restaurant in the premises of the old Mason's Arms. This is purely a restaurant which will serve alcoholic drinks, hopefully, along with food. We are not mainly an alcoholic premises with food on the sideline. Our main objection is to serve good quality food to the local residents and everyone in the locality. We don't propose to have big parties. We're not proposing to have music outside. We've listened to all the concerns of the local residents and have put that in the application. Obviously, we've changed the times of serving alcohol, and any other concerns that the neighbours have had. We are having CCTV in and outside the premises, so we are able to see what is going on in the premises and obviously immediately outside on the terrace and in the garden and in the car park, etc. So then if anything untoward is happening, we are able to act swiftly and, you know, whatever is needed. As regards going up the street, we will be advising our customers to please vacate the building with the residents in mind. Anything else?
I think that's all. You want to talk? Or?
I think, well, you mentioned, I think, main things what we want to tell, but the other thing I was just want to say, we taking one of the biggest bar premises had, we taking it off. Only reason is to make sure get the more capacity in the restaurant instead of, you know, and then the capacity to give for
the dining customers.
Yeah. So which is
the biggest bar was in the back of the building, in the back room of the building, which was the biggest bar there. We've taken that out so we can seat more people. So rather than being able to serve more drinks, we'll be hopefully able to serve more seated customers.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much indeed for that applicants. We appreciate that. Are there any questions to the applicants from anybody, please?
No.
No? Oh, it's got a couple. That's okay. So I've got one from our solicitor, Mike Wallbank. Mike, first.
Yeah, thanks very much, Chair. Thank you for that presentation, Mrs. Camburagamuwe. I've just got one question, and that's about the conditions that have been proposed and which I think have been agreed to by you. And I just want to make sure that everybody understands the effect of one of the conditions, and that's this condition 4, and that's in Appendix 13 of the Licensing Manager's report. And it says the premises shall be cleared of customers within 30 minutes of the terminal hour for alcohol sales on any day. Now, what that means in effect is that you would have to close the restaurant at 10:30 p.m. on Monday to Wednesday, midnight on Thursday to Saturday, and at 9 p.m. on a Sunday. So that would effectively prevent you from doing anything in the premises more than 30 minutes after the last hour for alcohol sales. Do you understand that? And was that your intention when agreeing to that condition?
Yes, it was. We was taking everything into consideration, which the residents' concerns, and this is our conclusion that we've come to. We've adapted our times in order to I don't know the right word. Sorry. In order to placate the residents and ensure that they know that we take this seriously and their concerns seriously.
Yeah.
That's fine. It's just obviously because your late night refreshment is what you've applied for. Obviously, what the panel grants will find out. But your late night refreshment, you've applied for that 7 days a week, 11 till 12. So you wouldn't be able to use that in effect on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Sunday.
No.
As long as you understand that, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure that's the case. Yeah. Thank you very much.
That's great. Thank you, Mr. Wallbank. Mr. Morgan, please.
Thank you, Chair. It's just picking up on one of the things that the applicant has indicated there, and if I could just clarify, please, just for the sake of completeness, that the layout of the premises then, and the layout that has been provided to us thus far, which is Appendix 1 on page 9, has this changed since you've submitted? You made reference to sort of taking away a bar. Has anything changed to the plan that you have submitted to us to date?
No, because we took out the bar before we made the plan.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. That's great. I just wanted to clarify that to see if there was any significant change to what has been provided to date. But thank you for the clarification. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Morgan. I can't see any other. Oh, Councillor Gale, did you have a hand up then?
Yes, Chair.
Yeah, carry on.
Are the applicants concentrating more on the restaurant side of the business rather than selling alcohol?
I only picked half of that up, I've got to be honest. So what you were saying, they were concentrating on the food as opposed to the alcohol, yes? Is that right? Yeah, that's great. Yeah, can I hand over to one of the applicants? That's the impression I get, certainly.
Yeah, our main aim is to provide Sri Lankan food. Obviously, we would like to serve alcoholic drinks with the food because people like to have alcohol with their food. Obviously, we'll be serving non-alcoholic drinks for those who don't want alcohol. Mm-hmm. So yeah, our main aim is the restaurant.
Yeah.
And then obviously as a byline, then we serve alcohol. It's not a place where you're going to come to have a drink. It's a place to come and eat.
That's right.
That's lovely. Thank you, Diane. Thank you for clearing that up. That's brilliant. And thank you, all of you, for your help there. Moving on now to our representations from the responsible authorities. Could I have trading standards first, please? Alex, can you make your representation, please?
Hi, good morning. My name is Alex Baker. I'm a Trading Standards Officer. I draw your attention to page 29 and 30, respectively, of the bundle. The document was prepared by my colleague, Tim Keohane. So far, we had representations from the applicant regarding Challenge 25 scheme, but we feel that it didn't address staff training in relation to underage sales or proxy sales. Proxy sales being the sale of alcohol to adults who then give it to children. So we'd like the following conditions to be added to the license. If I draw your attention to SA01, staff training. In summary, that all staff are trained in relation to underage sales, commensurate with their duties, and updated as necessary. The training is documented and signed and dated by both trainer and member of staff upon receiving it, and is available for the licensing authority to inspect. If we move on to paragraph SA02, a proof of age scheme should be adopted. This is the Challenge 25 scheme, and accepted forms of photographic identification should be requested prior to the sale of any alcohol who appears to be under the age of 25. Acceptable proof shall be identification bearing the customer's photograph, date of birth, an integral holographic mark or security measure, such as a driving license. And publicly placed materials in the premise, notifying that there is a Challenge 25 scheme in operation. And thirdly, paragraph SA07, all staff with responsibility for supplying or selling alcohol shall be vigilant in preventing adults purchasing alcohol on behalf of persons under the age of 18, with the exemption being of section 1495 of the Licensing Act 2003. We are prepared to discuss these in more detail with the applicants if that is required. Thank you. Any questions? I'm happy to take.
Thank you, Mr. Baker. Are there any comments then? Mike, I see your hand is up.
Yeah, thanks. Just quickly, I mean, just to say, there's a set of recommended conditions that encompass most of that in Appendix 13 of the Licensing Officer's report. Are you satisfied with those as they've been drafted there?
Yes.
Thank you.
That's great. Thank you for that. I don't see any other hands up. No, that's fine. That's okay. Can I thank you for that, Mr. Baker? That's brilliant. Can I just ask Miss Abby Brown? Can you make your representations, please, Abby? Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm speaking on behalf of the Environmental Protection. Following the review of the application details, Environmental Health feel that following a number of sort of amendments to said application, in particular the restriction of outdoor areas by the applicants themselves, that this responsible authority are sort of happy to recommend the granting of said condition following the acceptance of conditions recommended by ourselves, namely conditions relating to sort of no removal of waste between the hours of 10 PM and 8 AM, and then to sort of basically make a conscious effort to ensure that any patrons using the establishment are acting in such a way not to cause disturbance to sort of residents within the area, within the immediate residential amenity. So providing that that's still the case, we're happy to support any sort of granting of the licence going forward, really.
That's great. Okay. Thank you, Ms. Brown, for that. Are there any questions from the Environmental Health team? And I see Mr. Wallbank again. Mike, please. Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, it's just the same question as for trading standards. There are some recommended conditions around what you've discussed in Appendix 13 of the Licensing Manager's report. Are you content to proceed on the basis of those?
Yes, we would
Thank you.
be.
That's great. Thank you. I can't see any other hands up. No? Okay, that's lovely. Thank you. Well, thank you for that, Ms. Brown. Thank you, Ms. Brown. I appreciate that. Can I just ask now for Gwent Police, please, to make their representation? Inspector O'Keefe, welcome, sir.
Good morning, Chair. Thank you.
Morning.
Basically, I'll be putting the points forward for PC Dan Allen, who is our licensing officer. Unfortunately, he's not available, but he is the one who undertook the review of the application and put forward the recommendations. So if I go in through those, when we look at applications that come in, we look at it against the licensing objectives, which for all members would be the prevention of crime and disorder, public safety, prevention of public nuisance, and the protection of children from harm. And those are kept in our mind with regards to any recommendations or considerations that we have with any applications. Going forward, the update I've had from PC Allen is that after attending within the review period and conducting a site visit, he did put forward a number of recommendations that he asked to be looked at with regards to the specifically a 30-minute drinking up time, which we've already covered in a previous question, looked at enhanced CCTV conditions, and then from that, the requirement of it being available within the 28 days and available to officers on request. Also that the premises keep an incident log at the premises of any issues, and also that any outside activity is vacated at by 9 p.m. Other than for persons wishing to smoke outside. What we've tried to do then is look at other issues with regards to affecting the residents locally. He further asked with regards to clear notices and signage advising customers regarding respecting local residents as they leave, toughen glass if there was any consuming of alcohol outside, and the rationale for that is that we look at it for what we term future-proofing the application. That if for any reason that the applicants look to change, then at least then any agreements that the panel has agreed to, they are looking at any changes of use further on at a later stage. We have reviewed calls to the premises pre this application, just as a baseline for any problems we are having. I'm informed that there were 2 incidents that were reported to us, one call of a theft of a vehicle in 2020, and the previous call was then a domestic incident in 2017. I will put the caveat that those incidents are directly connected to the premises that was then Sam's Brasserie or Mason's Arms. So they were directly linked to that premises at that time. And that's the summary, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed for that, Inspector O'Keefe. Are there any questions of Gwent Police at all, please? I can see yes, Mike.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Sorry to be repetitive. It's the same question for the other responsible authorities. There's a set of suggested conditions in Appendix 13 of the licensing manager's report. Just simply a Gwent Police satisfied with those?
We are, yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's lovely, thank you. I don't see any other hands up. Well, thank you for that, Inspector O'Keefe. I do appreciate that. Next, I have Mrs. Annette Dix. Can you make your representation, please? Thank you.
Yes, good morning, Chair. Good morning, everyone. I'm Annette Dix, and I'm the Assistant Licensing Manager for Caerphilly Council. And in that capacity, I act as a responsible authority for the Licensing Authority. I draw your attention to my report in pages 3940 of the Licensing Manager's report. I can confirm that I visited the premises with PC Allen from Heddley Gwent Police as part of the application process, which is something I would normally do if it's a new application. The discussions took place in relation to the prevention of public nuisance, and at that time of our visit, it was also acknowledged that there were some objections from residents. Prior to the application being submitted, the applicant, Mrs. Meda Gula, had contacted myself to discuss her proposals or their proposals, and I advised her obviously to consider the locality when making her representation, when making her application, sorry, and passed on her details to Heather Gwen Police as well if she wished to discuss any issues there. I've looked at the application. As I said, initially the applicant provided in their application a restriction on the use of the outdoor area, so they had obviously had considered the impact of the use of this area on nearby residents, and also they did put forward a measure in relation to the outdoor area to ensure that it was properly monitored, to ensure that any action needed to be taken if there was any rowdy or disorderly behaviour. Subsequent to our visit, obviously acknowledged that the hours have been modified to reflect the concerns of the residents, which we'll see in page 2 and appendix 12 of the report. Taking into consideration the nature of the application, its subsequent modification, the licensing authority would not object to the application, but would suggest conditions in addition to those submitted by Heather Gwen Police Trading Standards and Environmental Health. As mentioned in my report, it is a new venture and its use is untested. However, based upon the conditions that have been put forward by both the applicant and responsible authorities, the hours that they have now applied for, I believe that the measures that have been suggested are to promote the licensing objectives are proportionate and reasonable to the application submitted. I would also state as well that I am happy with the recommendations as referred to in the licensing manager's report. That's all, Chair. If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Thank you, Mrs. Dix. Appreciate that. I can't see any hands up at all, so are there any questions? No, that's okay. That's lovely. Thank you for that. Anyway, I do appreciate that. We now move on to the representations from the local residents. And can I call Mr. Lynn Bevan to make a representation first? Mr. Bevan, please. Thank you, sir.
Good morning.
Morning. Welcome.
Thank you. First off, I'd like to thank the applicants for amending their hours and their licensing for serving of alcohol. But I still have a major fear for the rowdy behaviour in which this establishment could attract. I'd like to draw your attention to the localities of the 2 rugby clubs in the area, which are very close to the Masons Arms. And I've also seen the behaviour of some of the people who attend this club, mainly the youth, rugby side of the Blackwood Rugby Club, and some of Blackwood Stars, but mainly Blackwood youth. We've had some problems in a club that I attend, a member of the Blackwood Workmen's Club, and some of these boys have been banned for their behaviour. And this is my fear that, especially during peak times, i.e. rugby international nights on a Saturday, that the sort of clientele that this establishment will attract. Thank you.
Okay, sir, that's lovely. Thank you. Are there any questions at all for Mr. Bevan, please, from anybody? I can't see hands up, so okay, well, thank you for that, Mr. Bevan. Can I call on Mr. Christian Williams, please, to make your representation, please?
Yeah.
Mr. Williams. Hello, Mr. Williams, welcome.
Just my camera here. Yeah.
Hi, welcome.
Yes, there's a couple of concerns. Let me just take this off. Yeah, I got a couple of concerns. As Lynn stated, we've had numerous issues going on. Just put my camera there. Just in the middle of the deck of my bedroom, we're going to notice it. Yeah, we've had numerous concerns about antisocial behaviour in the area over the last. I've been in this street for 6 years. There's been constant abuse of vehicles, drunken youths coming up, causing severe damage, including Sam's Brasserie. People would leave Sam's at 11, 12 o'clock in the evening. Let me just turn this. Right. they would leave at 11, 12 o'clock at night, quite inebriated, come up, and then cause damage to vehicles. We had wind mirrors kicked off, sand tipped over cars. And I can't say this is going to alleviate this issue. It's a very small street. It's very echoey. The slightest bit of noise at 12 o'clock at night is echoed right throughout the street here. A couple of concerns I've got is I can't see them really addressed. The 9 o'clock issue. What if someone was to say, well, if I could ask Diane directly, what if somebody was to have food about 9:15? Somebody came in and started sitting down at 9:15. You said that they would stop the outside area at 9 o'clock. Then I was going to continue. Would you stop someone having food? It's very simple, very simple question to ask. But then once we get the answer to that, then we can move on from there. I haven't seemed to got an answer to it. The other major issue we've got in this street, we have 33 to 38,000 vehicles pass through the street on a weekly basis. We've had 2 official counts from the council. The other concern we've got, what I've got, is parking. We've only got 4 parking bays. Another thing to put to Diane is you've got a car park out the back. What kind of seating do you have inside? And do the car park accommodate for all this? Because it's going to cause a nightmare outside with all the vehicles abandoned in the street, as it was with Sam's Brasserie. I can't speak for the other premise because I wasn't here in that street at the time. Very simplistic things to answer, and if we can get the guidance off you to show that this is not going to happen, then that's absolutely fine. It's just those are the concerns I have at the moment.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. I was going to say, are there any questions for Mr. Williams? I don't know if you can answer those at all, Diane, to help him at all.
Well, prior to us becoming, renting the property, I understand that Mason's Arms was used as the rugby club's gathering point, should I say, or where the rugby boys would come after a match. So we are not, they've got their own club now down the hill. So, and we are not wanting to attract that type of clientele. We're purely, as I said, attracting people to come to eat. So if somebody was to come after the kitchen had closed just for a drink, well, I'm sorry, they would be turned away because we're only for eating. As to the damage to the cars, I'm sorry, I can't comment on that because we haven't. I'm sorry that's happened, and we can't control people going up the street. But what we can control is people leaving our premises and asking them to vacate the premises with the residents in mind. As it is one of the main streets coming from the high street down to the side, we don't know whether they come directly from Sam's Brasserie or whether they come from the rugby club or even over in Bistro 8, because there's another restaurant over the road that sells alcohol as well within a residential area. So all I can do is try and reassure you that we will do our very best to ensure with the outside CCTV we can monitor the incomings and outgoings. We can keep the noise down of the patrons. Our car park is quite a large car park. It probably, how many would you say it parks?
Between 8 to 10.
8 to 10. Plus we have 8 to 10. Plus we have made a disabled bay as well to enable disabled to park there. So that's another one. So yeah, so that's all we can do is reassure the local residents. We have got their concerns in mind, and that's why we've adapted the hours, and we will stick by that, and we've ensuring the CCTV will be looked at regularly, and then we can act upon that regularly.
Thank you for that, Diane. Chris, you've got your hands up again. Is there another question you wanted to ask?
Yeah, it didn't really answer the question exactly. Just for clarification, Diane, how many? So, what is the total clientele inside? How many people could you sit? Because 8 to 10 cars doesn't seem a lot.
No, that's fine. you could seat in the formal dining area between 30 to 35, and then in the front area then we have an easy, you could sit easy, possibly about 15. But then I see.
So if we take four, if we took it on the premise of a 4 vehicle, then you haven't got a parking space.
No, but then if you
tend to be busy every night.
If you look at the Italian,
considering considering Sri Lankan restaurant, the only restaurant within a 20-mile radius of Cardiff and Swansea, I think this is going to be an exceptionally busy place because it's completely new to the area, and this area is desperate for new cuisine. I get that, and I think it's going to be exceptionally busy. So putting 50 seats into 8 parking spaces it's not going to work. So where do these people park then? They're going to be dumped in our street again?
I'm going to butt in here if I may. Sorry
you can't answer.
Sorry to interrupt everyone. This is more of a planning issue than a licensing one, really. I'm sorry to speak out of turn, Chair, but I think I should make that point at this stage.
I was just going to say that. Yeah, that's a fair comment. Yeah. Is there any other questions you want to ask, Leo?
Yeah, that's me done, Carl.
Okay, that's good. Thank you. Mr. Morgan, you had your hand up.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. It was just picking up on two points, I suppose. One, the question was asked about how you would deal with diners outside at, say, 9:15, or if someone was coming in to the premises at that point. Perhaps I didn't quite get from the response how you would deal with a scenario like that, as to whether they would be guided inside, so they would be prevented from sitting outside, given they may have to move. If 9 o'clock is the cut-off point, I take it that there would be some method or some system you would have to ensure that people did not stay outside in the beer garden area beyond 9 o'clock, because this would be a condition, should a license be granted, that essentially you have proposed. So it's something that obviously, could you perhaps clarify that for me in a second? My second point would be that, and it's picking up on the legal advisor's comment and that for yourself, Chair, is that parking normally wouldn't be a consideration under sort of the licensing objectives. So members would have to consider, not necessarily consider parking as under one of the objectives. Albeit I would appreciate it. It could cause some issues potentially, but it depends on if everyone obviously drove to the venue. So coming back to my initial point, then could you clarify for us the beer garden and the access, and if the example that Mr. Williams gave of somebody arriving at quarter to 9?
Yes, they would be invited inside. And obviously the kitchen will close before the sale of alcohol, the end of the sale of the alcohol. So, yeah, they would be guided inside. We would be saying that, we'd have to come inside to have food.
And we'll put some notices as well to, let them know these are our timing and you have to come inside. So, yeah. We can do these measures. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for the response, Chair. If I may, if I just could just direct you a second. There was another resident representation during the consultation period. I'm conscious that I know members would have read the report already. You would have seen the comments contained within Appendix 9. It's just to flag those that this is the resident who was unable to attend today, and I would ask that you take those into consideration when you determine this application. Thank you, Chair.
That's great. Thanks so much indeed for that. Yeah, certainly. I just got one question myself, Diane. I was going to say, is your CCTV now in operation?
It's being installed as we speak.
It's been installed as you speak.
Yeah.
That's great. That's okay. That's all I wanted to know. That's lovely. Yeah. Thank you. That's great. Okay then, people. I was going to say we'll ask now Mr. Lee Morgan to sum up, if that's okay, please. Over to you, Lee.
Well, thank you, Chair. I know I'm just conscious to make sure that everyone has had the ability to speak that is here. I believe that we have done that. Chair, I know that you will consider, you would have read the report and will consider it. You know, I go back to my initial comments at the start, where I invite you to consider the application in accordance with the licensing assessment, so that you considering the council own licensing policy, the statutory guidance, the Licensing Act, and also all the information you've heard today from RAs and from local residents. So, Chair, no further comment from me, and I'll hand back. Thank you.
Lovely, that's fine. Thank you for that, Mr. Morgan. Great. Can I just ask now for Alex from Trading Standards? Have you got any comments you want to raise in summing up, Alex?
No, none at this time, no.
You got nothing at all either. Okay, yeah, that's great. Thank you for that. And also the same for you, Ms. Brown, Abby Brown. Have you anything further you want to sum up at all, Abby?
No, thank you, Chair.
No, you're okay as well. That's lovely. Okay. And I was going to say, Inspector Andy O'Keefe. Andy, have you got anything to say in summing up for Gwent Police at all?
Nothing further to add. Thank you, Chair.
That's lovely. Thank you for that. That's brilliant. And then finally over to you, Annette. Anything you want to mention in your summing up at all?
Nothing further to add, Chair, and you reiterate what's in my report. Thank you.
That's fine. That's lovely. Thank you. And then finally, I'll ask Mr. Bevan, have you got anything to say that you would like to say in your final summing up, sir? Please.
The only thing I'd like answered is if, like I mentioned about the clientele coming down from town already having a drink, is there some sort of anything being put in place to turn these people away or be vetted for being drunk or for not just going in to take on more alcohol?
Mm-hmm. Anything you want to raise on that at all, Diane? Are you happy with?
Well, we're going to be using a reservation, you know, so people online reservation bookings, so people have to reserve a table to come in.
Yeah.
So then is purely to come and eat. And I just reiterate that we are an eating establishment, and we're not going to be advertising that you know you can go and have a good drink up there, or they're not closing till half stop tap half 11. We'll go there. No, I'm sorry,
No,
they will be turned away. Okay.
That's lovely. That's reassuring. Thank you for that. And then, Mr. Williams, have you got anything you'd like to say? Oh, sorry, Councillor Roberts, you got your hand up.
Thanks, Chair. Just to ask Diane.
Yeah.
Thanks for that, Diane. But are we confirming then that there won't be any walk-ins, that it'll be reservations only?
No, there will be walk-ins. Obviously, it's for a table to eat. It's not just walk-ins to drink.
Okay,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for that, Councillor John. Mr. Williams, would you like to do your summing up, so if there's any comments you'd like to raise?
Yeah, I believe Mr. Williams may have left the meeting. I don't know if Lee just wants to come in.
Okay, that's fine. Lee?
From his comment, it may be that he did depart the meeting, and I can't see him as one of the current participants, Chair. So I think that Mr. Williams, clearly he was able to obviously raise points with you this morning, and obviously he did seem to indicate that he was leaving. No, I can't see him here, Chair.
No, I can't either. No, that's fine. That's okay. Well, could I just ask our applicants, please, if you could sum up for us, please? Thank you very much indeed. Diane, can I have a hand over to you?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
It's just we're trying to bring a new experience of just dining into the area. We're hoping we will be bringing jobs to the area, and just for people to be able to experience a different cuisine, which is not offered up the valley at all.
That's lovely. That's fine. Thank you for that. Yes, lovely. Meadow and Dominic, do you want to say anything at all, or?
I think we discussed. I think we mentioned everything what we wanted to mention.
Yeah.
But,
okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's lovely. Thanks, Meadow. Did you want to say anything?
Yes, Dan explained mainly. These our main focus is to bringing Sri Lankan food into Caffeli area, maybe beyond that, from Cardiff. People can come and enjoy because they used to have Sri Lankan restaurant in Cardiff, but I heard it's closed now. But we can give that opportunity to people to enjoy, come and enjoy lovely food.
That's lovely. Thank you very much indeed. Well, look, thank you everyone today for attending today's meeting and their representations. Can I just hand it back over to you, Mike, please, Mr. Wallbank, our solicitor?
Yes, of course. So what will happen now is that the panel will, in a moment, will go and consider their decision, taking into account that everything everybody said this morning. So in a moment, the chair will ask everybody to hang up. The panels have just said we'll go into another meeting, and the three panel members will discuss their decision. I will be there with them to advise them, but the decision will be that of the panel alone. It's not something I directly participate in. And then after that, a written decision notice will be produced, and that will be circulated. The requirement is to circulate it within 5 working days. Generally, this council does that a lot sooner, so you should find out fairly shortly what the panel's decision is. Are there any questions on that?
No, I can't see any. No, that's fine. Thank you, Mr. Wallbank. That's lovely. Well, look, thank you, everybody, for attending today's meeting. Really appreciate it. I wish you all a good day. If we could all hang up now, please, whilst we shall make our decisions and what have you, and no doubt we'll be in touch in the future. Thank you very much indeed, everybody. Good day to you.
Thank you.